Hi, I'm Mike Jones. I run FlashGen.com, and I'm going to show you some tips and tricks for getting more productive with Flex. Today we're going to have a look at creating custom skins inside of Flash and importing them using FlexBuilder 3's new artwork importer for your custom components. So let's have a look at a Flash file and have a look at the custom skin so that we can actually learn how you actually construct your skin symbols so that they're all mapped correctly once they come into FlexBuilder. So what we have here is we've got a custom skin, and basically these are the bare assets that are used within it. This particular component that it applies to is called my FLV playback component, and it's a pure flex component. And what we have is we have a play button and a mute button, a video control bar skin, and then some icons that we can use to represent the states of the actual buttons themselves. Now the interesting thing is actually when we open up the library itself and have a look to see how I've named them all. Now you'll notice that they seem to be slightly cryptic. They seem to have a lot of special characters inside of them, and they all seem to be rather long. And this is a thing that you do need to be aware of. If you make them too long, you'll have difficulty actually naming them because there is a limit on the amount of characters you can use. However, for this example, they should provide us with enough information so that we can see what's going on. So, as we know, my base component is called the FLV playback component, and I have some buttons in it and a control bar. Now if we actually have a look at the symbols in here, most of them are actually prefixed with the word FLV playback, and then they have a $sign after them. Now the reason that they have a $sign after them indicates that anything that follows on from this is actually a separate symbol asset that represents another component within my component itself. And then the final thing on most of these is that they then have an underscore and a suffix. Now what this actually indicates is that this is the element within that particular component skin. So for example with our buttons, the name for them is FLV playback $mute button underscore disabled icon. What this actually tells us is that the mute button inside of my FLV playback, this is the icon if I disable it. So now we've seen how they're all named. Let's export them, import them into Flex, and see how they all map up. So if we choose File, Publish, one thing to bear in mind when you're making skin files, make sure you check the Export as SWIC option, because for Flash we need to have a SWIC, not a SWIF. So anybody who's been using FlexBuilder 2 to import skins will know that that's changed over now. So let's switch over to FlexBuilder. As you can see here, we've got our FLV playback component in the design view. Now if I go to the project itself and choose Import, and we're going to use the artwork importer, so let's select that from the FlexBuilder drop-down. Click Next. We need the choose a SWIC or SWIF file option, and as you can see here, I already have it pointing to the SWIC that I've just created. By default, it will create the skin styles in a CSS file that's named after the component or SWIC that you bring in. So in our case, it's going to be called FLV playback skin. We don't need to copy any of our artwork into any subfolders because we don't have any, so we're good to go. The final option is where to apply the style. This will generally be the default MXML file within your project, and that should be selected by default. If you have more than one, then you'll probably have to choose them. So let's click Next, and here's where the magic happens. As you can see, because of our naming convention, it's managed to actually work out which elements and which assets belong to our various component items. And you can see if we stretch this out slightly, how it's actually taken the original name and chopped it up. If we click Finish, it'll do two things for us. It'll automatically import and write all the CSS, and it'll also refresh the design view so that it'll apply the new CSS for us. So let's go ahead. There's our CSS that it's created. Cool, I don't have to do any work. And then if we switch back to our actual design view, you'll notice that we now have our grey livery around our control bar. And that's it. Easy, huh? If you'd like to find out more information about Flex and Flex components, feel free to pop on by my blog. You'll find that at blog.flashgen.com. Thanks.